I appreciate everyone being here this afternoon. This is a really great occasion for our police department, certainly for Officer Allen, everything that he's meant to the organization over the last 40 years, almost 44. It's quite an accomplishment, quite a career, and something to be celebrated. Before we get started, and I ask Mark Allen to come up.
I don't have much to say other than it's been a privilege to be your commander for the past 17 years. 43 years is a long time. I've been here 24. It seems like forever.
Remember, I took you on your training ride.
Yes, I was about to say, my first memory of you was on the checkout ride with you when I first started. So that's how I got to know you, and I've got to know you through the years. And he's a good officer. I know he's helped the SROs a lot the past few years with school functions and stuff. And I just want to thank you for 43 years of great service to the city of Irving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the Irving Police Department has had a rich history with our reserve unit, certainly going back longer than 43 years. Lieutenant Allen and I were talking before the ceremony. You know, when he came aboard 23 years ago, there were 40,
Almost 40 years.
40 reserve police officers.
Yeah.
Wayne, with your retirement today, we're down to 3. And as we were talking about that, we talked about how policing has changed over the years, and certainly in the 40 plus years that you've been involved in the program, you've seen a number of changes. Change isn't always bad. There's a lot of changes that have occurred in that time period that has brought policing up, has raised the standard of policing, has created more community trust for policing. But certainly, Wayne, your service to the police department during that period of time, you've seen that change. You've seen how we've evolved as an organization, how we've evolved as a profession, and you have a lot of stories to tell, a lot of history to look back upon. As you know, a reserve unit, these guys aren't paid. They're volunteers. I know for a fact when I was on the street doing the job, I wouldn't have done it for free. There's a lot that goes into that. And for the men who serve in our reserve unit, Wayne, for the 43 years that you've done this job, given your time away from home, outside of your real job, to volunteer and to serve this community is something to be celebrated. And I think as you look around, see the number of people that are here, they recognize that, they appreciate that, and as do I as the chief of police. These officers volunteer, dedicate their time and talents to the citizens of Irving, assist police officers at major accidents, industrial accidents, fires, overturned tankers, talk to citizens, help find lost children, and back up our patrol officers. Your work is valuable, and I would dare say always taken for granted. I don't think we ever recognize the work that our reserves have done to the extent that y'all do it. And I know that you don't do it for the glory. I know you don't do it for the recognition or the honor. You do it because you have a true heart for service, and thank you for that. Wayne began his career as a reserve officer with the Irving Police Department on July 7th of 1975. I look around the room and there are a number of people who weren't even born then. Wayne was promoted to Reserve Sergeant in 1993, but voluntarily demoted back to officer in 2000 after a restructuring that the reserves went through. You wanted to remain a part of the program, and so in order to do that, you took a voluntary demotion, again, demonstrating your commitment to the organization and to the unit. Wayne has donated well over 7,700 hours of service to the City of Irving during his tenure here, working in patrol and community services. During your last years, as Lieutenant Allen says, you've assisted a lot with the SRO program, assisting officers at school functions, games, and parades, and I know that they've appreciated that, and many of them have showed up today to wish you well. Wayne, during his tenure, has been awarded the Safe Driver Bar, the Certificate of Civic Achievement Bar, and your police officers voted you the Police Commendation Bar. In recognition of your many years of dedicated sacrifice, Wayne was elected as the Reserve Officer of the Year in 2007 and has been the longest serving reserve officer by almost 15 years. So you've certainly had a long and distinguished career. Thank you for your service. On behalf of the entire Irving Police Department, we thank you for your 43 years of service and congratulate you on your retirement. Round of applause. Wayne, I know you have your son here. I'm going to offer the mic to you if you want to come up and say a few words. That's certainly your opportunity, but I'm also not going to insist that you do that.
Got one story.
Okay.
Many years ago, there was a industrial accident. The person was killed at an apartment underground. On the way back to the station, I noticed a squad car doing a traffic stop on top of, I think it was Windgren Bridge over 114. And I pulled around, got in behind him, told him where I was. After all said and done, I can't remember the officer's name. I got the biggest thank you I ever had. It was 3 a.m. in the morning, didn't know what he had, but he just knew he had backup. That's what I was here for. That's why I'm part of this organization. Thank you.
I think, Wayne, we could go around the room, and I know those of us who have a little longer in tenure could each tell a story about our relationship with the reserve officer, whether it was a backup in the middle of the night, whether it was waiting for a wrecker for us as we went on to the jailhouse so we could start our paperwork, assisting with a stranded motorist. You guys were always there for us, and continue to always be there for us when you're at work, and we appreciate that. The men and women out there on the street appreciate what you do. We can't say thank you enough, and for 43 years you've been here for us, and the cake, the punch, the crowd, is just a small token of our appreciation. Have your shadow box here to symbolize your dedicated service over the last 43 years, something that hopefully you can remember us by. You hang it in your house, your office, and look back over your career and know that you served the residents of this community, you served the members of this organization very proudly, and for that we will be eternally grateful. So, thank you, Wayne. I've got your retirement badge. Okay, if we can get a picture from Officer McClellan.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's really special. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask that you stand up here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask that the members of the organization come by and wish you well, say thank you, and then at the end, we'll let you have a piece of cake. How's that?
That sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Y'all come by and wish Wayne well. If I could get everybody's attention real quick, I may live to regret this, but Officer Shields was late. He had a late call, and he wanted to share some of his thoughts on Wayne. So, Curtis.
Good afternoon, folks. For 29 years, this man, I've met him 29 years ago, and he took me under his wing and showed me around. When I went to Irving High School, he came up and showed me what to do at basketball games at the stadium, Irving High School stadium. And I want to thank him for that. When I was working patrol, he used to ride with me. 2 years ago, we worked patrol. He came and worked with me the whole night, 12 hours. And we had good times.
It was 11. It was
Fall back.
that's right. Fall back.
Spring ahead. And Wayne took care of me all these years. He's been like a big brother to me, and I want to thank him. Thanksgiving games, we worked several Thanksgiving games at Texas Stadium. When we couldn't get anybody else to work, I called Wayne the day before. He said, I'll be glad to do it. And so I want to thank him for that. He's a very dedicated person, and I will never forget him. Thank you, Wayne.
Didn't regret that a bit.
I didn't at all.
Oh, and one more thing. And I even wrote his son a ticket, and he still stayed my friend.
So, what I'm interested to know is, can you tell us about when you first became a reserve? Because I understand you used to work for the city, and then you became a reserve, and you could do both.
Yes, actually you weren't allowed to do both, so I wasn't able to join when I worked for the city at the warehouse. I had to wait till I got another position at another company, and then I went ahead and joined because my brother was working for the department at that time.
Okay. And what kind of drew you into it? I mean, what inspired you to
I went on a ride along with my brother, and it was real interesting, quite informative, and I saw they needed help, you know, whenever they're possible, and that kind of drove me into trying to do help for the department.
And so, I mean, that was almost 44 years ago. I mean, what has kept you in it this long? I mean, surely there's something that drives you to continue to do this. I mean, that's a long time.
It keeps me out of trouble. Honestly, I like giving my time to a cause or charity or whatever, and this is my charity, this is my cause, and I wanted to be doing this because, like I say, my brother showed me what you did on the patrol, and I wanted to do it.
And so, you know, certainly the police department appreciates the time that you've given us. Is there anything that you would want to impart on, you know, especially any of the new officers that work here, knowing what you know? And
Oh yeah. When the rookie comes out, they want to save the world. After a few years, they want to save their beat, and I agree with that. Start with the beat first, though.
Yeah,
I've rode with officers that knew their beat, knew every little house that was being burglarized, being used for other things that they shouldn't be doing. And in fact, we drive by and he said, that house there, we got to keep an eye on, watch out for people there. And knowing the beat is the best thing a patrol officer can be, is knowing that beat.